when we created a world that defended Frozen. Okay, so me and Peter have this debate about why is old anime so much better than new anime? Like, why is Dragon Ball Z so much better than Naruto? Why is rap in the early 2000s so much better than rap in the 2010s? And then we came out with Frozen. Now, how does this all tie in? Is because of the leg go. So me and Peter continuously have this argument that you have to adapt. I was the one watching Shippuden, and he was complaining about part one Naruto, and I was like, you have to accept it. That's like I have to accept that there's not good rap on the radio anymore. And literally, so what happened was this. It got to a point where it got cringier and cringier to a point where Frozen came out with Let It Go after we accepted having shitty music, having shitty TV, having basically shitty anime, having Naruto versus Pain, but having no other fucking fight in Naruto match up to it, and their excuse is let it go. There's no such thing as good anime fights anymore. Let it go. Let it go. And literally, what pissed me off about Frozen was it had so many people supporting it, but it was the exact opposite of what I went through. Instead of gaslighting something badass like hockey, they gaslight saying it, don't judge a book by its cover. Frozen is very mature. Frozen is this and that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, a grown ass man is not going to watch Frozen by himself. The only way a grown ass man is going to watch Frozen is if he's with a sibling or his daughter. I am so fucking sorry. A grown ass man is not gonna let his son watch Frozen. And I'm literally trying to say this because we built a society that's defending Frozen, saying that, oh, Frozen isn't corny. I'm like, Frozen is the definition of corny. He's like, no, you're not mature enough, Eris. This is why you don't like the Hunger Games. And that is when we have this nonstop debate. I was so fucking mad. This all goes back to Elliot versus Anthony video, where they start defending people like Peter because Peter read the Hunger Games, and a couple of people in the animation rap league read the Hunger Games, and he's like, oh, even Peter can read. And literally Peter's scolding me. How many books have you read on your own? And I'm all like, I don't give a fuck about the Hunger Games. And they're all like, that's why you're ignorant. I'm like, I'm sorry, but Jen Lawrence isn't matching up to Megan Good. Now everybody's saying it's not about sex, Harris. It's not about sex. Bull to the fuck shit. It is because we allow Frozen to be a movie that influenced people. Is why Seymour got the treatment he got in high school, thinking that we accept people for who they are when there are still people gorillaing people. We have to face it. You can't always use the excuse of stop living in the past to the point where we stop evolving. This is really what Frozen did. Frozen literally made it cool for everybody. It's like, it's better to be corny than be a street nigga. And I stated in a video, yeah, that's only if you made it to the other side of the other field to know why the street life isn't shit. If you're literally viewing it from a nerd's perspective, you're gonna end up like Peter. They're basically saying, don't experiment, don't do this and that. It's basically what they're fucking saying. Is literally just be a good person and everything will all work out. The past is past. I'm like, it's because you're sleeping on the morals that were taught to us when we were young. That you have to stand up for yourself. That it's not about being yourself. That we live in an animal society. But people get away with doing animalistic shit behind the counter because they're in charge. It's my rules. I don't have to use logic. I earned it by having self-control for all these years. Yet when I want to feel like a child, I can't get called out for it because I'm a boss. Because I may have a wife, I may have everything on paper, but I don't have as nearly as many girlfriends as some kids in high school. I am mentally behind my age because I can't have my cake and eat it too. I can only become a boss, and when I order people around, that makes people not like me. Yeah, you're getting money, you're getting paid at the end of the day, but people still know you're a shitty person. And Frozen literally was so fucking smacky. Everybody was telling me, you know what, Ernst? When it comes down to it, you think Frozen is corny? When some real hood nigga shit pops up, you're gonna realize that Frozen is 10 times harder than anything you ever experienced. It's basically the reverse psychology. And I got that the day when I judged a book by its cover. When I didn't judge a book by its cover, and I'm sorry, this is the full story about me when I so-called did adapt. There was this time where I was going through my loser phases in life. The 4 years of my life where I was doing nothing but jacking off, watching anime, falling asleep. I even made a goal to Mr. Pleasure that I would watch all the anime that I couldn't watch while I was growing up because I was too busy doing homework before I get to community college. And literally, when I failed at that goal, when I ended up smoking weed and falling asleep on episodes, and I wasn't doing shit with my life, that was defeating the purpose of everything that was happening, is when all of a sudden they hit me with the stereo. Okay, so season 3 of the ARL comes along, and I do get better, but I lose motivation because I'm not getting the text back from my girl. And literally, now that I'm older, I realize that they were hacking me and that I couldn't talk to her for a reason. I'm like, you just broke up with your white boyfriend. How do I not have my slot? And that is the reason why it was a gaslight. Because there was this guy who I beat my very first season, and he got his ass clapped, and he never really got better into season 4. And what happened with season 3 is I almost beat the champion, but because I lose, it doesn't matter if I come close. This is the society we live in. If I'm not number 1, I ain't shit, which is why we need perspective. We need more room. Number 2 is better than being at the bottom, which is what this guy was. This guy was the worst in the league. So what they did was this. After me almost being the fucking champion, they tried to say that you're fucking whack, you don't know shit in real life, that you need to literally grow up and this and that. So here's what happened is, the least favorite guy in the whole entire league, all of a sudden out of nowhere, this is after when I'm roasting Saba, when I'm roasting Travis, and I'm saving Travis for a future video, but when I'm roasting everybody as equivalent Shinobi, this guy comes out of nowhere and starts roasting me with hood nigga roast. Out of fucking nowhere. And how this and Frozen is heavily tied is, don't judge a book by its cover. So basically, this guy, who I usually cap on, who I cap on his sensei, all of a sudden comes with the roast. And I'm all like, bitch, I'm about to beat your ass. And he's like, oh, yeah, right. As soon as you think that's going to happen, you're going to end up running. Run, Forrest, run. He was known for being gay. I'm all like, Uber Akari ass nigga. He's like, oh, you look like Forever. Every single thing I thought was a roast, he came back with 10 times harder. I'm like, I'd rather be autistic than go out with your prom date with Down syndrome. And he's all like, oh, yeah, you're one to talk. You're handicapped. But instead of you being in a wheelchair, you're half a man. And then he continues on. And so I DM him like, fight me. Like a real adult is. You're saying shit that I would rock you in real life for, but you're hiding behind that computer screen and you're saying be mature when you're saying shit that's literally would get you rocked in real life. And he literally posted in the chat, he's still going. It's because you're immature is why that fat bitch left you, Eris. And so don't judge a book by its cover. Frozen comes into play when all of a sudden the guy that can't roast for shit that everybody's clowning on clowns me. You know what I realized when I was older? Is that they were all giving him those roasts. Because there was this one time, the earlier season, where I roasted the top tier guy named Philly when I stole lines from 2 people. You see, I was in a call with a private chat with 2 different people and I was texting this guy. And I was roasting him. He's like, how does Riz know how to roast all of a sudden? And that was what you call karma. What happened to me is what happened to him. Instead, I got the consequence because I got cocky and I relied on someone else for something that I couldn't do. And this is why Frozen was so prominent and why everybody believed in Frozen. Even Bella believed in Frozen. Bella cosplayed as that fucking snow dude, and literally the mask is, oh, he's just a fun-loving guy like Ed and Eddie. I'm like, no, he's the best character in the show because everybody is shit. You can look at that at first glance and literally figure out why the fuck people like it. And it's like, if it wasn't for that retarded snow nigga, nobody would fuck with Frozen. I realized over time that it wasn't the fact that I was being immature, it was the fact that I finally adapted and that they were trying to make Seymour excuses saying that we accept people for who you are, let it go, let's be free and fun-loving. Okay, let's see how that pans out when there are still people who are gorillaing people in high school, still people with baggy jeans, still people who don't treat people the way they want to be treated. There's still white people like Justin that are getting over on black people because they have the upper hand in society. Okay, the whole thing about Frozen, and don't judge a book by its cover, when you see a black guy with a fat white girl with big tits, do you think that they're a happy couple, or do you think he's just stalling his time just to get in her pants? Do you have to know them from childhood in order to realize that situation? Do you have to be like times have changed? Black people look at white people a different way now just because we live in a different time? Frozen literally pissed me off because it masked the whole point of forget about the past so people can't use what you used against them where it comes time to chance. Kind of like this. It's like putting in an anime context. If Naruto tried to get Shikamaru to go save Sasuke again, and Naruto's like, oh, don't worry about it, it's just past. You don't think Shikamaru has the right to say, do you remember the last time what happened when we tried to save Sasuke? We're so busy having fun that we're not learning from our mistakes. Just like Justin, he was too busy living in the moment. Justin made this phase that I'm gonna make for a different video. Live in the moment and not focus in the future. Don't focus in the past. Just enjoy life for what it is right now. And that is why Justin ended up the way he did. We need honestly to stop defending people who are gonna allow corny shit to get in the way of logic. Yes, I said that being corny is better than being a try-hard gangster, but that's only after you prove the gangster's wrong. That's only after you use a gun to defend your family instead of using a gun to show off. And that is why Frozen does not mean shit.